In all of these ways, there's one question that we are all asking: how do we find our purpose? That is the essence of this conversation. That is the essence of this gathering. That is the reason why this event is here. Right? So, to everyone who feels confused, who feels lost, who is asking him or herself, what am I supposed to do with my life? Just few days ago, I was speaking with someone, and he proposed this to me. He said, Rich, I am so blessed with what you've been sharing. I just wish that my younger self knew this. There are so many people who need to hear these messages. There are so many people who need to come to the place of realizing this very message. But how many of these messages do we hear around? How many of these conversations do we have about God's purpose for our life? And so when we don't begin to have these conversations, when we don't begin to create this awareness about, let's take Moses. How did God help him fulfill his purpose? Let's take Joseph. The Bible says that because of Daniel, the whole province of Babylon was saved. And in from kings in succession, each and every one of them relied on what God has put in Daniel. And so this is the question that I want us, when we are leaving here today, to keep pondering over, even till our next meeting. What has God committed into my hands? What does God want me to do with my life? What am I supposed to be doing here on earth? What does God want me to do with my life? These are questions that I want us to begin to ask ourselves. Sometimes now life has become so that if you don't take the time to pause, you would run the race just like everybody else, right? The first 8 years of your life, you are going through school. You are going through kindergarten all the way to JHS. Then from there, you are going to university. Then from there, you are going to further. You're going to do your masters. After your masters, you are getting a job. After getting a job, what next? You are getting married. You are raising a family. So now everybody is towing that same lane. That is the general norm. Go to school, get a job, get married, keep working, retire, die. So that is the rat race. Do you get it? But until God helps you to understand the exact reason why He made you, you'll be living what I call the rat race. All you'll be doing is going in circles. Because this is what, excuse me to say, this is what your father did, right? You saw it. Now you also follow that path. Then the people after you follow that path. Why? Because one person have not stopped to ask himself, what exactly am I doing here? Why am I here? Back to the story I said about the tree. The essence of that tree being there was to give shade, was to refresh me, was to make me feel good. Assuming that tree was not there, that experience is lost. If God has brought you on earth for a specific cause and you are not fulfilling it, that is the gap. That is the problem. And so if that day God is asking you, what have you done with your life? That is what He wants you to answer. When the master came to the disciples, He didn't ask any question. He said, what I committed to you, what did you do with it? That was the only question. He didn't ask too many questions. This one said, Master, you gave me this. I did this with it. This one too came. Master, you gave me this. The other one said, I am afraid. And that's the subject we'll discuss later. I was afraid, so I didn't do anything with it. At least his is better. He's aware that he has been given something. But there are so many of us now who are not even aware. I was telling my wife the last time, so many beautiful women today do not know the reason God gave them that beauty. There's a reason. God gave Samuel what? That gift for a reason. God gave Samson that strength for a reason. In that same way, God made you tall for a reason. God made you handsome for a reason. God made you beautiful for a reason. There's a reason. There's always a reason. And so until we begin to dive into understanding the subject, until we begin to find the why, we may just be doing that, going in circles. And I'm just so glad that at least a quarter of you here have spent time to realize that there is a reason, there is a need. Right? Now, the next thing that we are going to be doing all in doing this live events, I don't know if I should announce it now, but not too long from now, we'll be going from schools to schools. Right? We'll be visiting senior high school. I mean, God laid it on my wife's heart some years ago, and I think she has been talking about it, but just recently it landed again. Right? The aim for all of this is to draw people back to God and to help everyone understand what God has called them for. I think you should be excited about it. Don't you think so? This is the reason why we are doing this. This is the reason why we've put all of these things together. This is the reason why we are building this community. Is because we don't want to live our lives and then at the end of it there's nothing significant about it. We don't want to live vain lives. The people who today are celebrated, the people today who we celebrate, are not people who led ordinary lives. They are people who dared to live the life that God has called them out to live.